Hello and welcome to this episode of the Business Spotlight. Today we are joined by Jeff Franklin from Door to Door. Hiya, Jeff.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm pleased to be here and looking forward to having a good chat with you.
Yeah, me too, me too. So for those of you joining us for the first time, what is the Business Spotlight? So the Business Spotlight is a place for us to learn a bit more about business, a little bit more about the business journeys and the highs and lows. And more specifically today, we're going to be finding out a bit more about Jeff's business, Door to Door. So on that note, Jeff, if you can just kick things off for us by letting the audience know who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for.
Yeah, sure. Okay, well, I'm Jeff Frankling. I'm founder and CEO of Door to Door, the UK's biggest leaflet distribution franchise network. Now, we first started our business in 1987. And in 1987, we actually started delivering little packs of discount vouchers from local shops and businesses. And initially, these were distributed by the Royal Mail. But I started to get lots of people saying, well, we don't want to do a discount voucher. Can you deliver some leaflets for us? And so we looked at how we could do that. And we realized that we'd have a lot more flexibility if we recruited our own deliverers, who we later coined the phrase post people. So we found out the best ways to find those people, and I can talk to you a lot more about the journey that we went through with how to find post people and get them on board and get them working for us. So that's probably a podcast in itself, actually. And in the period since 1987 and through to the early 90s, when we really started developing Door to Door into a system and a proper network through our franchisees that we recruit, it's been a very, very interesting journey, and we have a great business here. We are well known throughout the UK as a reliable professional organisation delivering leaflets door to door. And I'm happy here today to talk to you about it and answer any questions you want to throw at me.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you for that, Jeff. So I mean, if my calculations are right, what's that, 37 years?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was actually November 1987. So yeah, it's 37 years.
Wow, and we're actually in November now, so it is
Yeah,
37 years.
yeah. Well, I've just been going through a load of congratulations from my LinkedIn network. So I get that everywhere. It's quite an interesting task, but I get quite a lot of people sending me nice messages, and I always try to reply to every single one. So yeah, so it's right at the top of my. Oh, have I disappeared?
No, you're still there, Jeff. You're all right, you're still there.
Right, okay, because let me just, bear with me. I can't see you. I mean, not that that matters, but yeah, I can now because it's a podcast. Um, yeah, yeah, where was I? So
And that's okay.
yeah,
We can edit this bit out. So what
yeah,
we'll do
oh,
is you've obviously done the intro now.
yeah,
So we'll basically get to that last bit, which we just do the snippet of, and then we'll just go straight into the next question, which is going to be what I'll do now. Okay.
yeah, sure, okay.
Ah, that's fantastic. Thanks very much for that share. And that's really, impressive. 37 years. So congratulations on that, Jeff. So clearly, you know what you're doing, but what would you say that you're doing differently, Jeff? What is it that makes you really stand out from the people doing something similar to what you do?
Yeah, that is a very good question. And the key answer, the simple answer is that we actually do the job properly, because the most important thing with leaflet distribution is that the leaflets do actually get to the letterboxes and through the letterboxes onto the doormat of the householders. So if the job is done properly, then the system works. the people using it, our customers using our leaflet distribution service, get a response. They get people contacting them because they're interested in this notice that they've received through their letterbox. So the key thing is doing the job properly, and it's it's easy when you know how, and it's easy when you've got the systems in place. And obviously at the beginning, it was a rudimentary thing for us. We had to go through some learning curves ourselves. But I think the most important thing was when we introduced GPS tracking to our post people. So they carry a little dongle around their neck, or they can put it in their pocket. And as they walk up and down every path towards the letterbox, it records them doing that. So we have a very detailed track when they finished of every single letterbox that they've distributed or put the leaflets through. And this is very important. So that does make a difference. Now, if you don't mind, I'll just go into a little bit more in that, because there are other organizations out there that do leaflet distribution. We do have competitors.
Yeah.
Indeed, the Royal Mail are the biggest competitor, if you like, because they deliver more unaddressed material, which is what it's generically known as, unaddressed marketing material through your letterbox, unaddressed post, whatever you want to call it. So the Royal Mail are the biggest, but there are lots of other organisations, some of whom claim that they GPS track. But unless you actually do it properly, unless you check every single track after after the delivery has been done, you don't know that the job was done properly. You don't know that the post person who's working on an unsupervised basis, we're not following them around, we're relying on them going to it. But the GPS trackers that we use, which are unique to us, are very precise, very accurate, and we can see that they have gone to every single house. And because we do it properly, and we have good systems in place for doing it properly, the customers get the results that they want. And at the end of the day, they're spending money on having leaflets printed, and they're spending money on having them delivered. At the end of the day, they want to get some response from it. They want to get some sales. They want to get some phone calls. They want to get some visits to their website.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that's a great share. And I think, there was lots of great stuff in there. But I think one of the things that certainly resonates with me, and I'm sure it will with a lot of our listeners and viewers, Jeff, was the key thing. I think it was the 3-word thing that you said there was do it properly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Unfortunately, there are people out there that think they can cut corners and get the money from customers, but cut corners. And at the end of the day, you can't cut corners. You have to do it properly. If you do it properly, they get good results, and they come back to you to use your service again and again and again. But the only reason they'll do that is if it works. And we know how to make it work, and other people out there do think they know how to make it work, but they cut corners and it doesn't work.
No, exactly that. That's a great share. Thank you very much for that, Jeff. So, 1987. I'm trying to think back to 1987. The only thing that I can remember myself in 1987 was a
Yeah.
certain weather reporter sort of got something wrong back then. And one of the reasons it stands out for me was because I was climbing in one of the fallen trees there and cut the back of my leg open and spent my 13th or part of my 13th birthday in hospital with a big slice in the back of my leg. But how wrong did he get it? But clearly you didn't get it wrong in 1987. So, Jeff, if you can just give us I don't know, a bit of an insight into why you set the business up back in 1987, but also, and more importantly, a bit of I don't know, let's call it a whistle stop tour of what your business has done and what you've done over the last 37 years.
Wow. Yeah, there's obviously, because it is that long, there's obviously quite a lot, but perhaps we can pick out the key moments. The other thing that happened, and I remember 1987 very well for the reason that you just described there, with the great hurricane of 1987, when we lost a huge number of trees. I was in fact on my way to attend that morning I had to make my way into London to be on a stand of a franchise exhibition. It was nothing to do with door to door or leaflet distribution or anything else. I was working for another company, advising them and helping them recruit their own franchisees. So that's basically how I got into door to door, was the fact that I was helping other organizations who wanted to expand their franchise networks, and I was helping them with it on their recruitment side. But what I wanted to do in my mind was start my own franchise and do something for myself rather than doing it for other people. And I'd always been interested in advertising and marketing, and it seemed a route that I could go down and make a success of. So being involved in franchising was the kickoff, really, to me wanting to get into, not at that particular time, it wasn't distributing leaflets, but I'd been in the States, United States of America, and I knew I'd seen there how popular discount vouchers were with local retailers and local businesses. They were delivered by they put these little packs through letterboxes, delivered by the US mail, and I thought, that's a great idea. I can do that myself in the UK. But what I actually did originally, first off, was I wrote to a few of the companies. So I'd come back to the UK and I wrote to a few of those companies that were doing it in the States. And I said, is there any possibility that I could set up one of your franchises in the UK? And I got sort of basically a very, well, not a poor response, because basically they said, well, we're not interested in coming into the UK, but good luck, do it yourself, with our blessing, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, okay, if that's what they think, I'll give it a go. And it was very successful, but it got massively taken over by the fact that in the UK, people were a lot less interested in discount vouchers and much more interested in accessing people's doormats with their own leaflets and their own advertising material, and whereby at the time they only had the Royal Mail to do it, or free newspapers. They
Yeah.
were the people that were delivering leaflets as well. So it was an excellent opportunity that I realized I could do, and that's how I got to do it. The other important thing that happened in 1987 is that my first son was born, and so he is now 37 years old. So he was in fact the same age as me when I had him, which is an interesting fact. Um, yeah. And since then, I mean, he's worked. We are door to door is a family business. My wife and I own the company. Our three children now work in the business, but my first son, William, has now gone on to develop his own franchise network in a different field, and we have another business together which we operate together. I won't obviously talk about that because we're talking about door to door, but it was 1987 was an important year for me. I started in what I'm doing now, and also my first son was born. And yes, we all remember it because of the great storm and hurricane of 1987.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you just sort of take us through, I mean, the whole business itself, I mean, has evolved. I mean, it all started from sort of like one small entity, and as you say, it's sort of national now. So just give us two or three sort of like milestones that are sort of like stand out for you along the way.
Yes, I think the milestones I touched on really was when we decided to introduce GPS tracking. Um, there, to be honest, I can't quite remember how we did actually start using these trackers specifically,
Yeah.
but we knew that there was a weakness in the system, in as much as that we were relying on the trust from our post people, that they would go out there and they would deliver to every single house. We had some systems in place. I won't go into too much detail about that. I mean, they were effective systems, but they were not foolproof. So we looked around, we were looking at, well, what technology is there out there that we can access and we can use relatively inexpensively so that we can see exactly what our post people are doing. When they finish, they come back, we load the track into the computer and we can see exactly where they've been, and we can pinpoint every single letterbox on a minute by minute basis. So we found these dongles, and interestingly enough, although they've developed a little bit, they are basically still the same dongles that we used then. We buy them en masse from the manufacturer now in Taiwan, and so that was really a key moment for me. Of course, the other key moment is when we managed to get the system working so that the technology of what we were doing, the technology of the system, could be transferred to somebody else who wanted to operate as door to door. So developing the system, developing the franchise technology, developing the franchise manual so that we could teach other people how to do it was a very key moment. And taking on our first franchisees into the system, which was the first, after we run a lot of pilot operations
Yeah.
before, but our first proper franchisee started in 1993, I think it was. So we've now had sort of like 31 years of recruiting franchisees. So that was a key moment in our business.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a fantastic share. And I mean, to have been franchising since 93, I mean, that's amazing. So how many are you at? I mean, do you know the number? How many you're up to now?
Yeah, well, okay, so yeah, we've got about 60 now in various places around the UK. In that period, one of the interesting things about franchising is you do get a churn. You do get people who join. You do get people who leave. So we have recruited new people. We've lost people. They go on to do other things. Sadly, we've had a few franchisees actually pass away. Hopefully nothing to do with the business that we'd got them involved in, but you know, when you've been doing it that long, it really does, you really do go through, you know, all the normal scenarios of life.
Yeah.
And so we've currently got about 60. We're happy with that number. We are still recruiting people. We've taken on 2 new franchisees in the last month. We also had yesterday we had a franchise meeting at a venue near our new offices in St Albans, and it was a very positive and useful meeting for everybody everybody who attended, including myself. So those are the exciting things, and probably that was a milestone actually when we did our first franchise meeting. We haven't done many since the pandemic, because that obviously stopped our franchise meetings, but we've always found it useful, and the first one was a really interesting, really important part of our development of our business. Because, and I don't mind saying this to you, I've learned a lot from our franchisees. I don't mind. Some of the stuff that they suggest to me, I say, well, don't worry, we've already tried that, it doesn't work. But every now and again we get a little nugget from a franchisee that says, have you seen this? Why don't you look at this? And we've added some fairly important things into the system that have come from having franchisees.
Wow. That's a great share, isn't it? I mean, you know, the fact that that evolution comes not only from your own sort of like people, but also from, you know, those franchisees and the recommendations that they make. So, you know, that's really powerful stuff there, Jeff.
Mhm.
So what would you say then, looking forward now? What would you say the plans are for you and the business, and what sort of challenges that you're going to face.
Well, yes, that is a very good question, and I'm, very happy to give you my thoughts on that. Of course, the industry that we're in is probably largely known, or more generically known, more broadly known, I should say, as print media. So what we're involved in is printing material in a physical sense. And then the second part of what we do is to take that material and get it through into householders' letterboxes. Now, of course, we're in competition with Instagram, we're in competition with Facebook, we're in competition with television, we're in competition with radio. So we have all of these mediums that offer our customers opportunities to promote themselves and find customers. And some people think that print media is in the decline, but that's extremely far from the truth, because print media is very popular and very effective because it's something you can actually hold in your hand. When you're looking at an ad on a on your phone, for example, or even on your computer, it's very easy to be distracted into something else. But when you're looking at a piece of paper holding in your hand, you are totally absorbed by what that piece of paper has written on it. And so therefore it's much more effective than an advert on your phone, on your computer, or even on your television. Let's face it, if a leaflet comes through your letterbox, if it's something that's interesting to you, you keep it. You put it, and I'm asking you here to access your own experience as far as this is concerned. If you get a menu from your favorite restaurant locally, you don't throw it away, you keep it. And on average, leaflets stay in the home for 5.5 days. What other marketing hangs around in your house for that length of time? And sometimes people put them in a drawer, they put them on a fridge, or some people, even a lot of us actually, have specific places where we put the leaflets that we want to keep because we're interested. So they are extremely powerful. But of course, we are in competition with all the other methods of promoting yourself. The challenge that we have to get across is to explain to our potential users and explain to people who are interested in becoming franchisees, for that matter as well, how it works, why it works, and how the customer can make money out of using it, and how the franchisees can make money out of providing a very reliable service where the leaflets do arrive on the doormat and don't end up in a river or somewhere else where they're not actually going to do the customer any good.
Yeah, I think that's a really great share. Thanks, Jeff, for that, because that's definitely going to resonate, because I've had many conversations, like, over the recent years with regards to, the printed matter versus sort of digital media, if you like. And I think personally, it's kind of gone a bit full circle, whereas it used to be that, junk mail, if you will, would be sort of getting a really bad rap. They obviously took a bit of a decline, but then now it's sort of like quite novel to get something through the letterbox. And so people are actually sitting up and paying attention. And I think that sort of putting your head above the parapet by sending stuff in the mail now, or via services like yours, Jeff, is definitely something that seems to be becoming a lot more commonplace, rather than sort of doing digital media advertising.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And the other aspect that I would add in, sometimes it's a lot easier to actually get a leaflet designed, printed, and delivered than it is to kind of do a Instagram campaign or a Facebook campaign, and understanding how to make digital advertising work, even Google AdWords, even Google pay per click, which is, I know it's extremely powerful because we use it ourselves, but making it work understanding the technology behind how these platforms operate and how they work is really quite complex, and you can't do it yourself. I mean, okay, our customers can't do what we do for them, but themselves, well, they could, but we obviously have the systems in place to make sure it happens properly.
Yeah.
Uh, so there, to do it properly is a very important aspect of what we do. We do that, and so we make print media work. And although we do have competition from digital platforms, what we offer is a medium which is easy to access, easy to use, and easy to get good, top-notch results from.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Jeff. So, I mean, moving on to yourself as the business owner, I mean, you've got a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience there. So I know this is going to be a very difficult question, but if you was going to pick out one major lesson that you would like to share with our viewers and our listeners, what would it be?
One major lesson. Well, from the point of view of anybody that's interested in starting a business, so if you're thinking about starting a business from scratch, then obviously what you do need to do is you need to get proper advisors and proper help to make sure that what you're doing, you create professionally, and you understand how to make sure that all the systems that you put in place in your business do work. And it's okay to come along and think up a great idea and think, yes, I would love to do this. I would love to operate this on a day-by-day basis. I think I can make myself a lot of money. I can have a lot of success with this business idea I've created. But I think the important thing is surround yourself with people who are dedicated and absolutely have the same passion as you about making your business idea a success. And really, that's an important situation as far as I'm concerned, because what we do is somebody's interested in getting into print media and leaflet distribution. Yeah, you can start such a business yourself, but why go through all the pain? Why go all through all the learning curve, etc., when you can come to me? I've got it all done. I've got it all in place. We've got it all working, and we can teach you how to operate our system in a few weeks. And providing, and this is the other important point in answering your question, make sure that you do operate our system and don't try and reinvent the wheel. So the two aspects of the business of starting a business, if you're doing it yourself, surround yourself by experts. And
Yeah.
if you're going to buy a franchise, you have surrounded yourself by experts because you bought the franchise, but don't change anything. Do it the way the franchisor does it and the other successful franchisees in the network do it. And don't try and think, oh, I can do this, I'll do it this way, that's a better way, all right, do it that way. Don't take any shortcuts. Do what we teach you and you'll have a successful business. And so just to recap, if you're doing it yourself, surround yourself with experts. If you're buying a franchise, make sure you operate the system that the franchisor has just sold to you.
Yeah, I think that's some great advice. I think what I'm taking from that, Jeff, is do it properly and ensuring that you've got yourself a good bunch of experts surrounding you to give you that sort of guidance and mentorship as well. So that's a great share. Thank you for that.
Mm.
So, I mean, Jeff, you've obviously been running your business now for 37 years, and I know obviously before that too. So, what would you say it is that, fires you up, that puts that passion, that fire in your belly, that inspires you to do what you do day in, day out?
Well, I do get people say to me, Jeff, when are you going to retire? And the one thing that actually, the one thing that actually motivates me is, and although this might sound a little bit dull, but one of the things that does actually motivate me is the routine of getting up in the morning, early in the morning, getting ready for work, looking forward to going to the office and thinking about all of the things that I need to do today. And having also, because we're a family business and I've got my kids and we've got other people who are dedicated to what we do as well, working in the business, and I've got a great network of franchisees who not only are our partners, but they're our my friends as well, and I can talk to them on all sorts of different levels. So it's really the whole thing that motivates me, or all the various aspects of that, so that I know that, you know, I'm gonna enjoy myself today. And even though, you know, sometimes you get problems hit, you get situations that you weren't expecting. You know, like yesterday, I woke up and it was heavy snow, and I thought, blimey, is anybody going to come to the franchise meeting now? But luckily the snow quickly disappeared from quite a lot of places, and the attendance was excellent, and only 2 or 3 people couldn't make it. So yeah, there are problems that you do hit every day, but even those make life more interesting. So that's what makes me get up now. You know, probably, you know, one day I won't be able to do it for one reason or another, and you know, that'll be a sad day for me. But as long as I can do it, and as long as people are interested in listening to what I've got to say, then I shall carry on doing it.
Wow, that's a fantastic share. Thank you for that, Peter. Sorry, Jeff. Um, so, I mean, just to wrap things up then, Jeff, because there's going to be some people that are going to no doubt want to only find out more from you, more about your business, and also the franchising side of things as well, because that's really interesting. I didn't realize that it was that side of things as well. So, what would be the best way for people to get in touch? You know, maybe through the website, or are you sort of like on LinkedIn and that kind of thing?
Well, we do have a dedicated uh, website, which is d2d-franchise.com, or door to anyway. Yeah, I won't give out too many. There are other routes, but yeah, if they go to d2d-franchise.com, I should say, d2d-franchise.com. That's our franchise dedicated website. There's an application form on there. They can fill it in, they can make an inquiry, or if anybody just wants to send me an email, jeff@doortodoor.com, and that's Jeff with a J, and door to door is DOR number 2 DOR.com. So I'll be happy to hear from anyone. Of course, they do need to realise there is an investment to make. It's not free, but it's a very reasonable price for our franchise. And you know, I'm very interested in talking to anybody that's interested in talking to me, and we can see if we're compatible. If we can see if what they're looking for is what we're offering, and what I'm looking for is what they're able to give me.
That's fantastic. I mean, definitely, I'm sure you're going to get lots of traffic coming through now, Jeff. And it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Business Spotlight today. Thanks for
Yeah,
joining
well,
us.
yeah, well, thanks very much, Mark, for inviting me. I've enjoyed it. I hope my answers to your questions weren't too long and waffly. The one problem I do have is that when people ask me about my business and ask me what I do know a lot, and my mind just keeps thinking of something else that I haven't said yet. So thanks very much for inviting me. I've enjoyed it a lot, and good luck with your um, platform.
That's brilliant. And it's been like you haven't waffled, and it's been great. I mean, the insights you've given us to not only your business, but just business practice, and the tips and advice that you've given have been great, Jeff. So thank you very much for that.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Thank you.
And for those of you watching and then listening, that is a wrap. That is the Business Spotlight, and we'll see you all again very soon. Take care. Bye for now.